Rapid trigger keyboards have been around for a little while now, and while Wooting have most certainly led the way with their 60HE board, brands like Razer and Corsair have also jumped on board, pardon the pun, this gaming-focused feature in some of their recent products, namely the Huntsman series from Razer and the K70 Max from Corsair. Well, Endgame Gear have thrown their hat into the ring. Well, not their hat, but their new KB65HE keyboard. This 65% board is aimed squarely at the gamers out there, so let's see how it gains. Hi guys, I'm Matt and welcome to Kit Guru. The KB65HE is the first keyboard from Endgame Gear. The brand have focused mainly on mice up until this point. I've only reviewed one product from them on the channel in the past, the XM2WE mouse, and I was pleasantly surprised. Making a decent keyboard is a different ballgame to making a decent mouse though, so when I was first contacted about reviewing this keyboard, I was intrigued. The KB65HE currently retails for $138.95 here in the UK, which makes it cheaper than the rapid trigger offerings from Razer, Corsair and Wooting. Let's have a look at it in detail, starting with the design and build quality, and find out if it's any good, shall we? The KB65HE is a very straightforward product to look at. It's got an all black minimalistic design, which I think looks really good. It doesn't have any over-the-top gamer branding, and it keeps things simple and mature. The only bit of colour you'll find is in the RGB backlighting, and in this additional Endgame branded escape key that's included in the box. The RGB is nothing to write home about, unfortunately. It's limited to the presets found in the software. It does state in the specs that there's per key customization, but I can't see a way to activate it within that software. Unfortunately, there's a few dead spots as well within the RGB here and there, especially noticeable on the page up, page down and 5 keys. But putting that negative aside, this board is built like an absolute tank. The chassis is machined out of a single piece of aluminium and it feels rock solid. Seeing that level of quality on a board that costs 140 quid was really pleasing, and it's definitely something that other brands need to take a big note of. The case has rounded corners and a smooth painted finish, and again at this price point it's really good. It's one of the best keyboard chassis or cases that I've seen, to be honest. It's got quite a lot of heft to it due to that metal case. The board weighs 1,050 grams without the cable. And speaking of that cable, this is a wired only keyboard and it comes with a braided 1.8 meter USB cable in the box, which just like the board itself is really good quality. Almost too good quality. It's quite thick and it can be hard to get it to lie flat across a desk. The underside of the KB65HE houses the rubber feet and a slim strip of silicone for grip on the desk. I've had this board sitting on the wooden finish of my desk and it's never moved unintentionally. The board comes with 2 sets of feet in the box, a 5-degree set that are pre-installed and then a 7.5-degree set which can be easily swapped out to increase the typing angle, and I much prefer that steeper typing angle. That's all there is to talk about in regards to design and build quality really. I like both, it looks good and it's built well. Endgame Gear have put a clear focus on delivering a solid product rather than something just flashy for the sake of it. Let's move on to talk about the switches, the keycaps, and do a bit of a sound test then. The switches found inside the KB65HE are Gateron KS37Bs. They're magnetic Hall effect switches and they are key to delivering the board's main feature, that rapid trigger functionality. They have an actuation force of 30 grams, bottom out force of 50 grams, and a total travel distance of 4 millimeters. They're a very light feeling switch that have no tactile bump or click due to their design. They feel like really light linears. They use a Hall effect sensor to detect key presses. The switches will pick up on and respond to changes in a magnetic field inside each switch housing. This design allows them to have adjustable actuation and reset points ranging from 0.1mm to 4mm. This is where the rapid trigger mode comes in. You can set the switches to reset very close to the point of actuation, allowing for much faster inputs than when compared to a regular mechanical keyboard switch. Both the switches and stabilizers are factory lubed. The switches feel good and most of the stabilized keys do too, apart from the spacebar on my review unit. It rattles a bit and if pressed too quickly it can register double presses. It's like it rebounds and it activates the key twice. The keycaps are double shot PBT and were designed in collaboration with Ducky. They feel nice under the fingers, they've got a slightly textured finish to the top of them and they feel good quality. I've got no problems with the keycaps whatsoever. Here's a quick sound test of the KB65HE. Jumping in quickly to say, I just wanted to add a clip in to add a bit of clarity and comparison. That sound test that you just heard was with the KB65HE in its out of the box sort of configuration. The stabilizers, the lube, everything is as it comes. And the spacebar, I may have been a bit easygoing on it. It doesn't sound great at all. So I have recorded a second clip where I've just give the spacebar stabilizers a bit of love and added some extra lube in there, giggity. So I didn't even take them out of the board itself. I just got my lube brush and poked some into the stabilizer housings through the top, through the plate. And I think it's made a drastic difference to the sound profile of the KB65HE. And also quickly just to mention that the double press issue that I've mentioned on the spacebar, it is there if you have the actuation set really low on that switch, but if you be a bit more generous with the spacebar actuation setting, then it's easily resolved, but you just have to install the software and set it up and save it to the onboard profile, and you can still uninstall it like I'll mention later in the video. It's quite a clacky sounding board overall. It's certainly not the nicest I've ever heard, but it's also not the worst either. And let's talk about gaming specifically then, what this keyboard is without a doubt designed for. It's designed for gaming above all else, more specifically for fast-paced games like FPS titles. I've been using this board on and off for a few months now. I first received it back in January, so I've had plenty of time to put in lots of hours playing a variety of games. Stuff like Battlefield 2042, Counter-Strike 2, Call of Duty, and I've played a fair bit of Hell Let Loose over the past few months. I can confidently say that this is one of the best boards for gaming that I've ever tried. It's very, very fast, very fluid, and has genuinely made me feel like I can react a little bit quicker at times. If you're looking for a new chair, then you should definitely check out Booley's. I'm currently sat on their Ninja Pro gaming chair, which is one of 3 models from their gaming series alongside the Elite and the Master. So if you're looking for something new to stick in your setup that you can sit on and game and work, then I recommend definitely checking out boolies.co.uk. I've had the WASD key switches set to have an actuation distance of 0.5mm and the reset point set at 0.4mm. And using it like this, with the switches resetting as soon as I lift off, it's genuinely felt like strafing and stopping is happening a little bit quicker, especially when compared to using a board that doesn't have rapid trigger. Typing, on the other hand though, with this board set up like that, especially if you had all of the switches set up like that, is another story altogether. You'll get a lot of double inputs with all the switches configured in that way, but luckily you can adjust the actuation and reset settings on a per key basis in the software though. And speaking of that software then, configuring the board is done with Endgame Gear's configuration software, which can be downloaded on their website. It's okay on the most part. Figuring out how to configure stuff was a little bit of a side quest I had to complete before I began gaming. The KB65HE does have an onboard profile though, so you can configure the board and then uninstall the software if you want to. There are 3 main tabs inside this software. There's key settings, which lets you remap and reassign keys. There's the light effect tab, and that's where you can set your preferred RGB mode. There's a fair few to choose from. Then there's the advanced tab, which is the section that handles the actuation and reset distances for the switches. This can be set up, as I mentioned, either for the whole keyboard or on a per key basis. And it can be a bit confusing to begin with. I thought that it wasn't storing my per key settings, as the checkbox would continually uncheck itself each time I open the software, but hovering over each slider when that checkbox is unticked will show you the settings for each key, and that confirmed that my WASD settings were indeed applied. Overall then, I'm really impressed with the level of quality that Endgame gear have delivered, especially for the price point on the KB65HE. Having a full metal case on a board at this price is great to see, and on top of that, it's not just like a roughly made case, it's been well machined, well finished, it just feels good quality all around, the build is great. The rapid trigger features definitely make a difference to how movement feels in games. It just feels much more responsive. I feel like I'm quicker when using a keyboard that has this feature, when using this keyboard. Typing sound leaves quite a bit to be desired. It doesn't sound great in all honesty, but the typing experience is a tale of two halves though. Typing feel is okay. And I think we need to not forget that this is the first keyboard that Endgame gear have ever produced. And I think that makes it quite remarkable. And it excites me about what they're going to come up with next. And that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like down below if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to Kit Guru to keep up with the latest PC gaming news and reviews. And if you want to go down below the video, you'll find links to our merch store, our Patreon page, our Discord server, and our website if you want to check any of that out. Anyway, guys, I've been Matt. This has been the KB65HE, Endgame Gear's first ever keyboard, and I think it's a bit of a banger. I will speak to you in the next one. Look after yourselves. See you later.